alive!
So I've never identified with gender. It's just something that seemed strange to me. I didn't feel like I fit in with the little girls my own age or the little boys my own age. I was always somewhere in between or both. And so when I heard tonight's theme of It's Alive, I said, that's me. It's alive. And so today I'm going to tell the story of me being alive today, which actually, it probably starts off when I was about 5 years old and my family moved to Chicago from Mexico City. And I didn't know any English. I knew hello, goodbye, good morning, good night. And my mom is Mexican, but my stepfather, whom we had come to live with, he's Irish. So I was a kid of two immigrants, and they were not connected with pop culture. They were not connected with American goings-on. And so I always felt like an outsider. First with the language, then once I started getting the language, then I really felt the pop culture gap kick in. And so once I got into high school, once I started really kind of like finding my place with people my own age, and I got involved in all the clubs and activities after school, I still found that even though I was a part of it, I always felt on the outside. I always felt separate, like I was a fake, I was an imposter, blending in somehow, but that people didn't really know me. And I guess that's really when I started having just these feelings that I didn't know how to identify, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't feel I had anybody to talk to, and I felt like I had no right, because here I had been given this beautiful opportunity to come to this new world of opportunity and possibility, and that's what my mom always told me, like, we're making this move so that you could have the life that I want for you. And so when I started having these feelings of just being upset and depressed, like I said, who am I to feel this way? Like I have no right. And so, I don't know, some twisted logic sort of made it like, well, if I'm gonna feel bad, I need to have a reason to feel bad. And so I started doing self-destructive things in private, cutting and that sort of thing. So that kind of snowballed and, got through high school, and as I started going to college, actually, for college, my family decided they were going to move once again. My father, who is Irish and had just retired, wanted to go back home to Ireland. So we moved to Belfast. And here again, I was an outsider. And it was beautiful, and I was able to handle it a little differently, but I still had these feelings, and I started really just kind of distancing myself more and more and more from what I was feeling inside, and just trying to focus on being good and right, and I think it just hit a boiling point, and I was fed up with it, and I said, I'm just sick of living the life that other people want me to live, or that I think other people think I should be living, and I just wanted to feel something, because at that point I was completely numb. I couldn't cry, I couldn't really feel anything, and I started seeking out even more destructive behaviors, because it really made me have that sensation of like, maybe I'll finally feel something, maybe I'll finally feel alive. And needless to say, it didn't work, and my family was very worried, and so I ended up going to see a lot of therapists and psychologists, and I got put on medicine, and ended up in the psych ward when the medicine didn't work well. And I never was able to find that connection with somebody, with like a therapist, and the medicine didn't work. So after about 7 years of this struggle of like not being able to find any answers and being like, what's the point of it all anyway? What's the meaning of life? Why am I here? I'm on the outside, and and that's all there is. I decided I was going to kill myself, and I said, all right. So I did my research, I made my plan, I had my exit strategy, and I set my date. And it just so happened that our family we moved a lot. So by this point, I was already back here. Well, I was here in Orlando for the first time. And I just happened to be taking a class at Valencia. It was a dance class because, you know, the arts always seem to hold something. Even if I was like just completely miserable, at least I could take an art class. So here I was in my dance class, and I have like this newfound peace because I've set my suicide date and I have my plan ready to go. But I'm like, I'm going to go to class anyway, you know, before I do it. It was going to be that week. But my teacher senses something, and I don't know how he did because he didn't know me all that well. But he pulls me aside and he says, "Look, you know, I don't know you, but I get that feeling that something's going on with you, and I really want you to talk to somebody." He said, "My partner, he works with people, he helps them, he's a coach, you should talk to him." I said, "Thank you, thank you for caring, thank you for talking to me, but I've done that. I've done the therapist thing, I've done the psychiatrist thing, you know, I'm good, thank you." But he wouldn't take no for an answer. He was so insistent. I said, "Okay, fine, I'll talk to him. So I end up making this session to meet with his partner, and we sit down and we start talking, and all of a sudden he's talking to me in a way that nobody had ever spoken to me before. So somehow he gets me. And it was a really beautiful moment, and he said to me, "I promise you, if you work with me, if you really do the work, I will change your life." And nobody had ever made any sort of outlandish promise like that to me before. So I said, "Who is this guy? Like, this is weird. Like, okay. All right, what the hell? I'll give it one last shot. I'll give it a try." And so I started working with him. And I think I was like intensely working with him. Like, I would see him like 3 times a week. And I lived down in Kissimmee with my parents at that time, and he lived like way up in Altamont Springs. And I would make that drive back and forth through traffic 3 times a week. And within 6 months, my life was completely different. Not that it looked any different from the outside, but that my experience of it inside was completely different. You know, I asked him about things like meaning, like, you know, what's the meaning of life? Like, why am I here? And he said things to me that I got, like, meaning is something that must be experienced to understand. It's something that can't be explained, and it's going to be difficult for you to do the work to get there, but I promise you it's worth it. So ever since then, I've dedicated my life to sharing that message and just like really being very thankful that there was somebody out there who was able to give me enough for me to be able to start seeking it on my own and really get on the path of finding it. And so that's why when I heard it's alive, I said, it's alive. So thank you so much.